Hey, what's going on? It is Cooper. Welcome to Cooperville Podcast, proudly brought to you by Midwest Meals. Dan Beck and the crew over there doing good things, fighting obesity and making life so much easier. I just picked up my week's worth of meals, looking forward to not only dinner, but lunches throughout the week. Quick, easy, and maybe another big factor in this, no cleanup. If you hate that post-dinner, clearing off the table, gotta do the dishes, putting them all away, free up that time. Just had a 95% rule episode, bonus episode that dropped, talking about managing your time better. This will aid in that. MidwestMeals.com. Go check out their 12 rotating meals they have. Build a meal. Again, your macros are on there, your calorie count's on there, everything you need to know for a leaner, better, healthier you. And they ship nationwide. So no matter where you're listening to the podcast in the United States, you can have Midwest Meals delivered right to your door. You get your order in by Friday at midnight. They ship out on Monday. And you'll have your stuff by Tuesday or Wednesday of the next week. Good to go. Pop it in the microwave, eat, and boom. And remember, at checkout, use the promo code Cooper and get 10% off your first order. MidwestMeals.com. Hashtag MidwestFitFam. The podcast is also brought to you by Violent Gentlemen Hockey Club online at violentgentlemen.com. Using that promo code Cooperville15 at checkout and get 15% off your first order there. And we're talking hockey season in full effect. And you not wanting to rock that jersey anymore. You want some badass, kick-ass hockey gear, Violent Gentlemen has it. And they are huge, huge supporters of our first responders and our military. ViolentGentlemen.com. Check them out on all the socials. And that promo code, Cooperville15, to get 15% off your first order at ViolentGentlemen.com. And the fuel that gets me through the afternoon, Monster Energy. My fave, Monster Hydro, my new fave. Yeah, I've been kind of diving into the Monster Hydro. So you got hydration, you got focus, you got energy, all in one bottle of deliciousness. Boom. Look for Monster Energy and Monster Hydro and Muscle Monster at your local grocer and or convenience store. Hashtag Monster Podcasts. Great conversation is headed your way. Mixi of Stitched Up Heart is my guest on this episode of the podcast. And we go through kind of all of it, from hugging Jack Black to her picking up the guitar again, to a big scare in her career that happened not so long ago. The Mixi episode of the Welcome to Cooperville podcast starts right now.
Welcome to Cooperville. The Welcome to Cooperville podcast. On demand anywhere quality podcasts are available. And some places where cheap podcasts are available.
And the local gas station has some.
Subscribe, get updates, feel better about your life. Welcome to Cooperville.com.
Check.
Welcome to Cooperville. Make sure you use a coaster. The wife gets upset when we leave rings on the tables.
The first time I met Mixi, they came to our studio. And I'm always, with every artist that ever came in, I'm always very cordial. I extend my hand for a shake, and she pushed my hand out of the way and said, "No, I hug," and that's how this all began.
I don't know, handshakes, they feel so professional, and I'm very clearly not professional, as you can tell from trying to organize just us hanging out and talking. My alarm went off, an hour ago, and I thought, oh my gosh, I missed it, because I usually have someone handle all this stuff, but you and I kind of put this thing together, just talking to each other. I'm like, well, maybe it's good for Wednesday, maybe Saturday. This is why I'm not in charge of my organization. But anyway, yeah, I like to hug. I think that it's more of a, I don't know, like, I have had some really, there's more of an, like, connection there. Right. But I have had some interesting situations where I've tried to hug someone and they, like, back off, like, don't touch me. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is really awkward now. And everybody's around watching and you're just like, ooh, this is weird. So now I'm a little, yeah.
Denied the hug. Ouch.
I did. Yeah.
That burned. But I think that, and that goes to show, I think, a lot of, like, maybe what the world needs a little bit more of is kind of this compassion. My statement has, like, become lately, we're all kind of flying through space on this rock together, and we're either going to get destroyed by an asteroid or we're going to have to try to start getting along. And I think when you just incorporate those little things into just, and for you, just who you are as a human being, it lightens things up. It makes things not so tense, less business-like, more like, hey, we all just got to get along.
You know who I hugged recently? Okay, so he went in for the handshake like you do. Jack Black. And so I got to meet him. I'll tell you about what I did like 2 weeks ago. It was a really cool event that I did. But I saw him on the bill. We were singing this whole David Bowie tribute thing for Music Cares charity with Billy Idol, Gavin Rossdale, Jack Black, Juliette Lewis. And I saw him, and he was like the one person I just like had to like, I have to have a conversation with this guy. And he came in for the handshake, introduced himself as Jack, like, I'm not going to know who you are. And I was like, no, we need to hug. Like, I need a hug from you. And I got a hug, and that was like the highlight of probably my year. But yeah, he's a really cool guy. He's got a killer voice on him. He's really, like, really good.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that can do it all. I mean, it seems like if you gave him, like, hey, I would like you to learn how to style hair, he'd be like, yeah, I got that. And he could just figure it out. He's kind of got that jack of all trades.
Jack Black of all trades. Yeah. Though I think that he's just a natural, and he's very confident in anything he does. Like, I saw him pro, and I hadn't seen Dave in a long time, and he took me in because I was a little nervous. I'm with like all these super like classic, been around for a long time kind of people, and I haven't been that nervous in a while. So I was like, oh my gosh. And Dave's like, don't worry, like, you got this. They made sure I felt comfortable, and like, they were just also like helpful. Anyway, it seems like the actors, Jack Black, when I watched him, and Juliette Lewis, which I had a conversation with her, and she's so easy to talk to. She's just like, natural born killers. You think that, but then like, I met her, and instantly I just started yapping, and I couldn't shut up, and she was probably like, I need to go, but but it was just one of those, like, I felt like she could be my best friend, and it would be cool. But it seems like the actors, she did a cover of the Stooges, so they did the whole Stooges first album, and then the whole David Bowie Ziggy Stardust album, and she did 2 Stooges, and she like completely embraced the Iggy Pop like vibe. Like, she just went like all out. Like, I thought, like, if it was me up there, I would have rotated a hip or something with the way she was throwing herself all over the stage. It was so cool and super rock and roll. And Jack went up there. He had some drag queens up on stage with him. I was hanging out with them earlier. It was really fun. But my dad flew out for it, so we were watching the sound check. And I was like, there's Jack Black. And he's side stage, just getting ready. He's like rocking out side stage, like just prepping for it in his head. Yeah. He was ready to just go up there and slay. You could tell he just like was in there in the moment. And my dad, I was like, look, that's Jack over there. And he's like, no way. And he gets up there and he does his Jack Black thing, like he has his thing. Yeah. It's just, it's like, there's nobody I know that does like him. Like, it's just like kind of like the Christopher Walken voice. Like, you've got that thing that like everybody knows that's you, like, and he just did his thing. And it was really cool. At the very, very end of the night, I didn't talk to him too much throughout the show because he was being, just everybody from every side. I wish I got his cell phone number. I'd be texting him every single day, but at the very end of the night, I finally, he was just about to leave, and everybody's trying to get pictures with him. And I was like, no, I'm not going to get a picture because it would just be another person trying to get a picture. And this PR girl was like, no, I'm blocking the door. We're going to get this picture. And I was like, oh, no. So he's like, I'm the last one out when he's ready to leave. And she stops him. She goes, Jack, stop. You have to take a picture with my friend. And he looks over and he goes, oh, heck yeah, I'm going to take a picture. And I was like, yay. Because he was telling people, like, that's enough. I'm good. I got to go, guys. Come on. And I was like, wait, he said, like, he still is fine with the picture. Anyway, it's super out of focus and blurry, but I got, like, evidence that I met him. And we hugged.
Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah, there's something cool about unique personalities and people that do kind of really do their own damn thing, and they have their own identity, and they really have no question about who that person is. I don't think Jack has any questions about who he is, what he does, nor does he ever set himself limitations on what he could do. It's so awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's something deeper to it, like that he doesn't put on, like the confidence he eludes, I think, can sometimes be an illusion, because we all feel that way sometimes. We're like, just own it. Or maybe you go into this place in your mind where you just like, as soon as I get up on a stage, that's what I am, and that's where I feel most comfortable. But that whole 6 months leading up to that hailstorm in this moment, like, oh my gosh, my voice is gonna break. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna, internally combust or something, like all this stuff. And then you get up on the stage and it turns into just like second nature. So, but yeah, it's interesting when you see somebody that knows who they are 100%.
I think it's cool to hear the stories about the nerves and the prep that goes into going on a big tour like that. Because I think artists, I think superstar athletes, I think people that are getting in on a stage or on a field or on a court in front of a bunch of people. Because the people that come to your show, that's what they see. They see the show. They don't, they're not witness to the months leading up to that show or that tour, where it's rehearsals, it's getting the timing down, it's hoping you don't spontaneously combust, which is, something maybe we should all concern ourselves with a little bit more this day and age. But that's what I think, separates, people who can't quite get to that level, and people who are at that level or going there, because they put in the time, because they put in the effort, they put in the sweat. And then when they go out and they don't start on fire, magic things happen. And you talked about the Jack Black thing being a part of the magical year of 2019, but it's been kind of a big year for you, for the band. I mean, there was a break, and we'll kind of get to all that stuff, and we'll bounce around because I have ADD, so I apologize in advance. But it's a crazy year for you.
Yeah. Well, we did the Godsmack Full Beat tour earlier this year, which was an insane thing. I mean, so about a year and a half ago, we got that hailstorm in this moment New Year's Day tour, which I've been inspired by these women for a very long time, and it was really just a magical thing. And that was our first arena tour. And I remember asking Lizzy, like, who was your first arena tour? You're our first arena tour. And she's like, it was actually Godsmack. And I was like, well, that's really cool. And then I didn't even think about it. And Sully and I had just become friends over the years. And, somehow he wanted to help us out. And somehow, I don't know how, because usually with a band like that big, where they're bringing, doing arenas, headlining, right, it's hard to get on a tour like that. There's so many people, so many bands, so many managers, so many booking agents fighting for that position. And Sully really, really went to bat for us to, like, kind of stop anyone in their tracks. We're putting these guys on the road, and this is the way it's going to be. And everybody has their goal. And at the time, we didn't even have a booking agent.
Wow.
So we were just like, yeah, we want to do this. And then it was just the U.S. dates at first, which was like 8 shows. And we're just sitting there just holding on, hoping that Canada happens. I've never wanted to go to Canada so bad in my whole life. But then that happened like a week before we were about to leave. And we're like, okay, cool. This is awesome. So again, like it was pretty nerve wracking, because we just upgraded a ton of gear. They well overpaid us. Sully made sure that we got paid more than we're worth for this tour, so that we were able to afford all this new gear and equipment to make everything sound so much better in an arena situations. We used to been playing clubs and stuff like that. So we spent all this time. We have all this gear, no idea if it's going to go well or not. And if it does mess up, it's in front of 12,000 people. Who cares?
There's no way they could share that kind of mess up. No, there's not Facebook or anything. No.
Only 12,000 people in where was it? So there was 2 really, really bad front of house mix shows where we didn't have a sound guy. This is going to be our first tour going out next with Steel Panther, that we're going to have a front of house sound guy, and you're really you're at their mercy. And we didn't realize how important it was to have somebody at front of house. And for the first 7 Godsmack shows, we didn't have anybody out there, and they just had some random tech guy doing it who was doing a very, very poor job. I don't know who it was. I don't know what was going on. All I know is that we got a couple Facebook messages saying, hey, I think you guys were good, but I could only hear bass, or like I couldn't hear your vocals at all. I don't know what's happening, but you need to fire the sound guy. And we're like, oh, no, not in front of 7,000 people. So, we lived and learned. It wasn't till I believe it was Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is like the 6th show, that we actually got a sound check. So we could check and make sure everything's working right, like a legit sound check. Wow. And I went up to Sully and their sound guy, who is super nice. His name's Eric, a new guy working for them. And I was like, hey, so let me just show you these comments that we were receiving from the other end. And if there's anything we can do, like, we'll pay money. It doesn't matter. We need to make sure that the front of house sounds good. And so Sully was like, yeah, this is a tour package. We want to make sure the whole tour is sounding good. And Eric was like, yeah, I mean, I'll take, if you want to pay me in wine, I'm good. And I'm like, oh my God, he's the best. We're like, great, because our drummer was trying to quit drinking at the time. And we still had two wine bottles that we would be given on our rider every single show that eventually our drummer got to. But anyway, we won't talk about that.
Decker.
Yeah, Decker. But yeah, so we would just give him our wine bottles every show, and he just took care of us and made sure, it started to dial it in. By Canada, we started sounding like a real band. And it just took a little bit with that size of an arena, because we hadn't really, we did the arenas with like Hailstorm and In This Moment. I think that we were using one of their sound guys, so it was sounding pretty good out front for the most part, from what I could tell. Right. We didn't get any crazy feedback like we did with that. So now we tried out this dude, Steve, who's going to come on the Steel Panther run, which, by the way, is going to be super interesting. Oh my gosh.
That's a wild show right there. Oof.
Yeah. Oh man. I asked my mom, because we're
I want to know how this conversation went. I must know how this went.
I know, Mom. So did you see? Because we're coming through Indiana, so we're going to spend Thanksgiving with her, and she's going to come out to one of the shows. And I'm like, I don't know if you checked out Steel Panther, but some of their songs are like Gang Bang in the Old Folks Home, and that's one of my favorites.
It's a classic. That's a classic.
Asian Hooker, and some of their new ones. I think Gods of Pussy is one of them. And anyway, you get the point. Yeah. I can say that it's a podcast.
Yeah. FCC monitoring this shit.
Right. So all this stuff. And I was like, what do you think? She's like, oh, they're just really horny, aren't they? And I'm like, yeah, Mom. She was like, it's cool. It's whatever. They're just boys being boys.
That is, yeah. I saw the posting that went up, and I was like, that's going to be wild. I'm talking to Mixi. We'll have to put that into the conversation. And the fact that your mom sounds like an absolute sweetheart. Like, they're just horny boys. It's going to be fine.
Well, I mean, okay, to be fair, they've been around the LA scene for a while, and I've seen them so many times out here, and they've always been super sweet. And our bass player and the singer are really good friends. Cool. And they just, he asked if he would want to do the tour, and we're like, yeah, we're totally down. So, like, I know that there's going to be some people that are like, they support treating women wrong or something, but it's funny. It's a joke. Like, it's just a joke. So I don't take it seriously. I know that they're not really like that. Right. And, do with it what you will. It's going to be an interesting show, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about, not the industry necessarily, but, you mentioned relationships, becoming friends with Sully, and how that legit friendship. Not just like me and Sully, we're buds. I follow him on Insta. We're probably like that. I got a selfie with him. But like actual genuine friendships, and, in any industry, and what that can do, just because they know who you are, they obviously understand the band, and obviously when they're on tour, I mean, those boys from Boston, that's their work. You know, they're going out to put on the best show, you know, bringing a big band like Volbeat along with them. I mean, that's a two-headed monster. They want that thing to be like the shit. Like, we're coming to your town and we're going to kick your ass, and then we're going to leave and we're going to go next town and do the same thing. So to be handpicked because of a relationship that you developed, I think just it really goes to show a lot for your character, because I think it goes back to the hug. I mean, you're just like genuinely, you know, a positive, good person, and there's not a lot of fake when it comes to you genuinely being good and developing those relationships, and happened to work out really well for the Godsmack Tour, the relationship for the Steel Panther Tour. I mean, that's when you cut out all the crap, because you mentioned the crap that's in the middle, agents over here and people over here and this guy over here, and this guy owes this guy a favor because of that one thing that happened in Detroit. It's nice to be able to have somebody cut through the crap and say, you know what, come along. We want you to come along with us, and let's make some good things happen. So just what an awesome year so far. It's not even over yet.
I know. I think a huge thing, and I realized that recently as well, it's like relationships that we've built. In the very beginning, I remember, when we first got signed with Century Media and our first song ever came out it was Finally Free. Yep. And nobody in radio had ever heard about us. Nobody had any idea who we were. And we went out with this band, Like a Storm. Yep. I believe that it was Failure Anthem and Ashes from Ashes to New was on that bill. And we're all still friends with them too. We all became, actually this last Like a Storm tour happened because we're friends with Like a Storm still. But the Like a Storm tour was a radio tour. Mm-hmm. And we didn't know anyone in active rock. I didn't know what an active rock chart was. I had no idea what any of this whole world is. It was all new to me. And every show there was a radio station, and we'd make friends with them. And it was because Like a Storm that we were introduced that way, and they were able to see the show, and we were able to meet. And did we meet during the Like a Storm tour? Was that the one, or was it?
Yeah. It was a Like a Storm tour, because we had, the same day we had you guys in, I think Failure Anthem came in, and Matt Brooks is my homeboy. I'm going to get that put on a shirt, and I wear it just loud and proud all over. I love him. I love that dude so much. But that was the first time it was on that run that you guys stopped, and we didn't handshake. We hugged.
Yeah, and they were, you know what, I love the Like a Storm crew. They're just really, really welcoming and sweet. And I don't think, I'm a girl. I get grumpy every once in a while when I haven't had, my monster energy in the morning or my, it's all about the Monster Java, by the way. But if I haven't, if I'm sleepy and I'm hungry, sometimes I'll be cranky. And I never once saw one of those boys cranky. I was like, come on, get mad at something, just one thing. But you're in close quarters, so it gets like that. But for the most part, this last tour we did with them, Through Fire and Wilson, was the chillest tour ever. I mean, it was just there was no pressure. We were all just hanging out, no drama, not one thing. Everybody was cool. So I love those guys. But yeah, because of that, we met, and we met a lot of people in radio. Lost to the song that Sully sang on. We didn't actually, the label never put money behind that song for a radio campaign. They just kind of said hey, and Decker and I went and sent it to everyone we knew that we met mainly from that Like a Storm tour. And it just kind of hung out in the charts between 40 and 50 for a few months without an actual full-on campaign behind it, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. If there was actually money behind it, it could have done something good. Right. But that's just without any financial backing, and because of the relationships we built and the people that care about us like you, and I hope you do. I care about you. So little hearts, and all of the, the friends.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important thing in an industry, and I'll throw radio in there too, just because that's I spent 20 years of my life being in radio, and the latter part of my career in active rock radio, I shouldn't say latter part, but the last 10 years of it, and that's, in our market, that's what it became about. The charts are going to be the charts. The bands that are going to shoot to the top of the charts are going to be the bands that shoot to the top of the charts. What we wanted to do, and what, a lot of radio stations that I was fans of wanted to do, was make it about more than just we play the top 10 songs 30 times a day. We play the next 10 songs 25 times a day. We want to develop relationships with bands, because what we realized in the infancy of the station that we built was when a band is real and tangible and like approachable, they do so much better in our market. When they come and do a club show, that show sells out because they're real. The arena show, the big shows, the festivals, those are going to sell on their own merit. When you have a band that comes in and they're willing, they'll do an acoustic. I think we had you guys do an acoustic set for a bunch of listeners in our basement, like a converted accounting office or something. They're like, this is your room now because we fired those people, so you can do whatever you want. We're like, give us some paint. We got nothing else to do on a Saturday. But we wanted to create this intimate relationship between fans and artists. And so I think that all stems back to that relationship thing, cultivating it between artists and radio. And now, even 7 years removed from that, those relationships are tougher and tougher to come by, just because the radio industry is changing so much. It's becoming a little less cared for and a little less like human beings running it. So to be able to have a song like that, especially when you have the likes of Sully Erna on it, get some play, that is all because of relationship. That's all because of the people you met, the network that you laid down. And as you said, on the road, tour dates, probably doing Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays, and some Sunday shows. You get the one off day, but it's not just going to the venue, sound check, rest, eat, perform. It's radio. It's going to go here, stopping for coffee. There's so much more that goes into it. So to take the time out to cultivate those relationships says a lot about artist character, and that obviously carries within the music industry and the people that you've made good friends with.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. If you're, what, I was actually talking to Sully about this recently. He said a lot of bands that he hates people that have those egos, that like treat everybody like dirt and they're better than, and like that they deserve this and other people don't, and all this stuff. He's like, those bands always end up just staying, they get somewhere, but it's not going to be that big place that you want to be, but because they burn bridges, and like people don't want to work. I don't know how some people work with people that are jerks, but I like to surround myself personally by people that are good to other people,
Yeah, I think, they say you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I'm guessing some of those are probably in your band.
Well, everybody in my band's a jerk, but I'm just kidding.
They'll never hear the podcast. We won't tag them in it. But, that's so key. And I think for people who are, growing their brand or their band, I mean, you guys have been, Finally Free came out, was that 2016? Is that 15, 16?
The end of 2015, I think.
So it's, having a song out, having a follow-up song out. Monster is still one of my favorite, like active rock songs that we ever played. Just when that song came out, it was right there. It was in the heartstrings, thanks to you.
Aww.
But to keep on going through not having a booking agent and not having, some of these things and a hiatus while you guys were writing, the new record, but you keep moving forward and you keep developing relationships with different people, and you kind of, as you get, better and more positive, you surround yourself with more positive people, and that just kind of continues to grow. And the negative people and the shit talkers and the you're never going to make it's that were there from probably, when you were knee high to a grasshopper, they're in the past now, and you just kind of keep on that upward trajectory.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a big hiatus, and we'll get kind of deep, and I haven't been very vocal about this because I feel like it's something that I don't know whether or not I should share, but I feel like why not talk about it with you right here. So before we released the Never Alone album, we did Shiprocked, and Hailstorm was on that. This is not too far after we met. And I was super stoked to meet Lizzy. Like, I was such a wuss. Luckily, I knew Shannon Guns. She knew Lizzy. And she's like, just go up and say hi. She's really nice. And I'm like, I don't know what to say to her. Like, I love that woman. And so, anyway, I couldn't muster up the guts to say hi to her. So she eventually came up to me. And I was like, oh, my God, thank God. Because I was too much of, this was the first words I said to Lizzy Hale. I was too much of a pussy to come up to you and say hi. So nice to meet you. Okay. But anyway, and I started talking to her, and we pretty much clicked immediately. And we started talking about vocals, as singers do. And I was like, what do you do to, like, I'm always on vocal rest, and I don't know why. And I don't, like, I'm constantly having to hide so that I ground myself from talking too much, because I will talk. And clearly. And she's like, well, why don't you go and see a doctor and see if there's anything wrong? And I was like, she's like, at least you'll know. And I was like, okay, cool. So I went to see a doctor, and right before Never Alone album came out, he told me, well, you have polyps on your vocal cords. So he's like, I can't believe you're even singing right now. And I was like, well, I have an album coming out. And he's like, good luck. I'm like, okay, well, so I guess I just got to basically sing. Polyps are basically like blisters on your vocal cords, and you can't close your cords all the way to get the notes out. So it takes a lot more energy to push those notes. So you'll see a lot of pictures of me, my veins popping out of my neck, trying to go for that note and just pushing as hard as I can at a certain point. So I went for the entire tour cycle with these messed up vocal cords. Towards the end of it, it was a struggle. It was really, really difficult. And I knew that at a certain point I was going to have surgery. So as soon as we finished the Hell or High Water tour, I went to have surgery, and he said, oh yeah, you'll be good. You'll be good in like 2 months. I was not. I had a couple of festivals I had to perform. It was very difficult. Somehow we made it through it. But yeah, there was a point where I was unable to sing the most simple melodies in church. And I was just like, why am I going through this? And I try to look at everything with, like, there's a reason for it. Like, right. What is the good in this? What am I going to learn from this? And what can I guess the biggest thing is I really want to share my story, but I don't want people to listen to my voice and be like, oh, is she like all messed up and can't sing anymore kind of crap, you know? So, but I want people to know that, all right, well, I had that surgery and it was really rough, and I couldn't close my cords for my life to save me to get those notes out for a while. And I knew that Hailstorm tour was 6 months away. And I worked every single day on my vocals. And, even that tour, I wasn't completely 100%, and I'm still not, but I never was in the first place. But I work really, really hard every single day, and I'm done the biggest tours of my life since I had the surgery. And, I didn't combust or whatever, spontaneously
no spontaneous
explode.
Combustion.
Yeah.
Which is good.
So, but it was terrifying. And I think that just what it showed me is that when something like that, like, my voice was taken from me, like, I couldn't do the thing that I've been working on my entire life for. And I didn't know what else to do. I really don't have a second plan. Like, this is it for me. So yeah, I don't know why I'm sharing that with you. I haven't really been telling anyone that I haven't had a one-on-one conversation with, an interview especially, just because I think that it's something that was private. I just think I'm almost at 100%, and I'm never going to be pitch perfect, but I'm working really, really hard to try to be the best singer I can possibly be every single day. So,
well, first, thank you for sharing that. I mean, you talk about something that you have your whole life. This has been your thing. This is the dream. This is the everyday. This is the, give up at, years ago, give up any other avenues that were out there and just say, nope, I'm going for this. This is my end game is I'm going to be in a band. I'm going to be out on the road kicking ass and making records and changing lives and doing good, because there's a whole lot of good that you do. But when you're faced with that, like, abrupt challenge. And especially being, having Lizzy, of all people, who is amazing, this person that you look up to and you idolize, say, hey, you might want to go get this checked out. And then you do, and then you get the news, and you're able to keep going. You're not deterred. It's not, you're like, well, this sucks, but I have bigger goals. I have bigger dreams. This isn't the end of my story. Stitched Up Heart doesn't go into the, hey, yeah, that was that band back in 2015, 16, and 17 that had those songs, and the story wasn't going to end there. And I think when you talk about something that you work on every day, and it becomes a part of your routine, because you do want to keep striving to get to 100%, and then to get to the 100% and then get better. Will, determination, and really having to fight against something that you don't have at that point, didn't have any control over. You didn't go out and swallow a glass bottle, or smoke a pack and a half of Camel Lights a day. Like, this will be fine. But there's something about hearing that story, because, like I said, this podcast has become about when you're faced with a challenge, when you're faced with something in life, that you're like, well, shit, I'm either going to crawl into this hole and no one's ever going to hear from me again, put a stick up at someday with a cross on it and say, well, he was fun. Or you go, fuck it. How do we get through it? How do we get to the next day? And there's going to be days that suck, and there's going to be days that are great, and then there's going to be days that suck, and you go, I miss the great days, but you keep on moving forward. And it's so awesome that not it's awesome that it happened, but the fact that it happened, you overcame it. In 2019, you kind of kicked its ass. I mean, you kind of said, bring it on, and look at what this year has been, with the big tours and getting out and not just getting in front of new fans and creating new fans, but the juice is flowing, and being on the road and being amongst all these other artists and just being inspired. Fucking good for you, Mixi. Damn.
Thank you. You know what's going to be really cool at this next tour, speaking of working hard? So I got my first guitar when I was 15 years old. I asked for a guitar for my birthday. I got this little crappy Harmony electric guitar with the sunburst paint, and just because Bob Marley had a sunburst guitar in a video, and it was totally not even the same guitar, but I thought so because it was the same color, whatever. Anyway, so for the longest time I've played guitar, and I stopped playing when I first put this band together, because the original guitar player that we had was so good. I just was like, I'm never going to be that good. I quit. I'm just going to leave it to him, because he's way better than me. Right. And, over time, we eventually got a second guitar player. And so for a while, it had been 5 people, so 2 guitar players in this band. And this one rhythm section keeps rotating. It's this one guy that can't commit, or has a girlfriend that doesn't want him in the band or something, or he wants to do his own band. The typical guitar player solo project thing. So anyway, I was like, this last run, I was like, I'm just sick of rotating this rhythm section. And me and Merritt, our lead guitarist, he was like, do we need a second guitar player? He's like, let me see if we can get away with this live. And if it's because we're going to have a sound guy for the front of house to make sure the mix is good. Or you can play the parts that we absolutely need a second guitar. Because there's some, Catch Me When I Fall, for example, has this one guitar going, and then the other guitar comes in. And unless we were putting that on tracks, and I mean, we have a lot of synths and stuff in harmonies in our tracks. We do have tracks, and I don't care what people say about that. Yeah. But we want the guitar to be the guitar as much as possible. So I'm going to play guitar on this next tour for Catch Me When I Fall. I'm really excited. I cut off my nails. I've been practicing every single day. Actually, Merritt's been giving me a lot of lessons on stuff that I never really touched base on before. Because, again, I always had a guitar. I was always hiding behind a guitar before this band, and I never really was the front person until 2008. And I never understood, somehow I became just me and a microphone, not carrying any gear. And today I went to Guitar Center to like set up my old Schecter that I got for free a long time ago in this girl band I was playing rhythm for. And I was like, my fingers are all calloused up again. It feels good. And I'm like, man, so I'm like obsessed with this thing. Like, I can't stop playing it. I wanted to bring it to the hair salon the other day because I was just like, would this be weird? So I brought my guitar. But anyway, so I'm getting back into it. So I'm not like Shreddy McGee or anything, but I'm working every single day at that as well as the vocals. And I'm just tired of the rhythm guitar players out there.
And their girlfriends and their baby. I'm going to start my own solo project. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, every time. It's like, and we're playing some shows with Kaleido. They've had the same thing. Like, it's just like, oh my God. I'm like, I know we've got our 4 core members and it's always that one person. So screw it. I'm going to play.
Yeah. Tired of reprinting fucking tour posters, people. Come on.
Right? Like, luckily, like, the last guitarist we had quit the day of the photo shoot, so that was good. And then we kind of decided to do a hired gun thing for this last guy who's super cool, really nice guy, and it was just hired gun, and it never felt like it fit right. And again, girlfriend situation. Not a fan of anyway, but anyway.
No, I just picked up what you just laid down. You laid it down, and I picked it up. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I'm just going to play. And it's awesome. Been actually really, really liberating. You know what I think happened? My dad, I took him on Shiprocked, and he's never been a huge, like, he's never been into the active rock world at all. He didn't know who any of these bands we play with are. So I took him on Shiprocked. He watched Papa Roach. He watched Nothing More. He watched Motionless in White, I Prevail, all these bands. And he really liked Papa Roach a lot and Nothing More. So then he started listening to like Octane and like doing, his rock and roll studies. He's about to retire. He's been in medical for a very long time. And he's just looking for other stuff to do. He had so much fun on Shiprocked that he got one of those temporary tattoo sleeves that you stick on and wash off. And he loved it so much that he got his first tattoo at like 60, I don't know how old he is, but retirement age. Wow. And he got a wolf on his arm, a half sleeve, took 10 hours. And like, he wanted to be longer, so he got an extension with feathers so people could see it through his scrubs for the next 2 years while he's still working, or half a year or whatever. And he found my old guitar in a closet and picked it up and decided he wanted to start learning how to play. So
that's so cool.
He started playing, and I was like, wait, I need to start playing again.
That is, God, that is such an awesome story, because I think it goes to show that there's no like excuse. Like, age is not an excuse, gender is not an excuse. The fact that you pick something up, put it down because you have to use it. I mean, if you feel it, fucking do it. That's and for you to pick it back up, you're going through this vocal thing at the same time, so you got this going on. And you're like, I might as well just pick up the guitar because dudes and their fucking girlfriends. Come on. Sorry.
I think it's like I got a lot of. I got to thank my mom and dad, because my mom was like single parent, stubborn as hell, like, just making it work with me and my spoiled brat sister. We were a pain in the butt. Like, I was not an easy kid. And, and she did it, and she was always strong. And I think, like, no matter what, she was determined. She made everything that she needed to do happen, and it was inspiring. And my dad always, he said to me, like, not too long ago on the phone, I was like, Dad, I started getting really sentimental. I'm like, remember when you told me, like, I could do anything I wanted to do when I grow up? And, like, I think I actually believed you. And he's like, you believed that crap?
Because you told me I could. I did, yeah. I told my kid, who's 9, and is awesome, which I wanted to tie this into the Lizzy story. So we took him out. We had Hailstorm at Rockfest, which we mentioned. We hang out with you guys at a couple of years back, and it was his first time there. He was 7, so it was a couple of years ago, and Hailstorm was there, and before the festival, he kind of knew, but he's 9, and like radio is not really like a kid thing that 9-year-old kids is like, yeah, my dad's on the radio, whatever, and he didn't care. But I started to kind of like say, hey, you're gonna, you're coming to Rockfest for a day, and it was Hailstorm was headlining that night. No, co-headlining because Godsmack closed down. So I'm like, hey, here, check out these, if you want to listen to some music, he's a YouTube dork, so he's out jumping on YouTube, and he found Hailstorm and found Lizzy, and we got there, and he sat, because he doesn't, we sat up in the front seats, nobody was there, the gates weren't even open, and he just sat there, and he's like, I'm going to wait for that girl. And I was like, it is 10 o'clock in the morning, son. But we got a chance to go back, and he got a chance to meet her. And I tweeted out a picture to the band as he was sitting there, and there's nobody on the grounds. It's just him all by himself looking up at the stage. And I'm like, wait, he's just waiting for Lizzy. And she retweeted it, and then now they're like Insta friends or something. I don't know. Like, he talks to her.
Oh my gosh, that's so adorable.
The coolest, weirdest child story ever. But he is so into, and this, this goes back to telling your kids to be whatever they want to be. And yeah, it's something that, you can be whatever you want to be. But when they find their thing, and you let them, you don't hold them back from what they are into. I mean, music is a tough industry to make it in. Trust me, there's tons of bands that are here in this town and towns around the country that are playing every single weekend, doing covers, writing one original and playing that as their token thing, but to actually go for it, to go all in. He is a nerd to the bone, my child, and he could tell you how to rewire a Tesla. He is just geek, total geek. So now I'm like, he could be the next Elon Musk. And that's his thing now. He's like, SpaceX, psh, just wait. I'm like, so when you tell kids that, and then they find that thing, and I'm guessing that at some point when you were young, when you found the music, when you're like, yep, here's my thing, and I'm gonna make it my thing. Yeah, you go back to that, the dad talk, be whatever you want to be, and then you go and do it.
Yeah, I keep going back to when was that moment where I decided that music was it? And I don't think there was one moment. I think it happened, it kept appearing as the right path. And I'm starting to think now it started in my recorder class in elementary school. Oh. Did you ever have that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
4th grader just got his first recorder. It's amazing.
Yeah. And that was I really have to think back because I have the worst memory ever anyway. But so I was recorder, and in middle school I decided to join band, and I played the tuba because I wanted the weirdest instrument with the weirdest noise.
You are the same size as a tuba.
Yeah. I was the only tuba player. I remember having to carry that because I lived across the street from the middle school and having to carry it home for practice. My little sister would throw toilet paper rolls in the top, and I'd be like, why does it sound so weird? But I didn't decide to keep playing it in high school because I didn't want to be I was already dorky enough in middle school. I was like, I don't want to go into my new high school with a giant tuba on Friday nights football games, So I stopped playing the tuba, and then that's when I got guitar in my freshman year of high school. So I guess it just kept kind of happening. And out of college, I remember I sold some equipment, and I was a DJ for a little bit. I spun records, Technique 1200 MK2s. It was DJ. Orlando, so it was break beats, really horrible break beats, and usually had a female vocal over it somewhere, or maybe some reggae kind of vibe. But I don't know. So then I got tired of that because I didn't like the scene. There was just too many drugs involved, and I just didn't like all that. So I sold that, got a Fender half stack, and started playing guitar again. And then, just played guitar for a long time. I did acoustic 3 nights a week. I remember I used to be really, really nervous to play in front of people. I would write all these songs on an acoustic guitar and just never playing them in front of people. Right. And I realized that I had to play in front of people if this was something that I wanted to do. So I started forcing myself 3 nights a week. And I remember shaking I was just nervous, like in the lights. I'm at some little tea coffee joint, and I'm just like shaking, trying to play Nancy Sinatra Bang Bang on an acoustic guitar, and it was terrifying. But I kept doing it and kept doing it and getting up in front of people. Then I started hosting an open mic night, and I got really good with it. And it took a lot of forcing myself to do it to actually like start feeling more comfortable. And, you know, I still get those moments where I'm terrified, but I know that once I get on the stage, it's like the light bulb turns on.
Yeah. And you're not, you know, a sedentary artist. You know, you don't just get on the stage and your mic's in the center and then stand there for 30, 45, 90 seconds or 90 minutes. Yeah. There's a lot going on. There's jumping around, there's head banging, there's jumping on stands, there's at one point floating over a crowd in a giant fucking inflatable unicorn. I mean, things are happening. So this, you know, this went from, and it's a really cool transitional story from, you know, having that fear of performing in front of people, and then working at it, honing at it, putting yourself in a very uncomfortable situation. And all of a sudden you get better, and then it gets easier, and it gets easier. And then next thing you know, again, everybody should have giant inflatable unicorns in their future at some point, and just make it a part of, somehow incorporate it into your life. You should.
Yeah. You know, I stopped doing it because I didn't want it to become a gimmick. I didn't want to like be the band that brings the inflatable unicorn out, and then for the rest of our lives I have to go on this thing. And it was epic for like a year. I did that, and I was just like loving it until the one time it popped at Rock on the Range and I fell into everyone's hands, and it was really embarrassing. But that was the last time I rode one. Yeah. Not going to say that I won't ever get back up on one. I didn't get hurt, but it was like, oh, that was really embarrassing on the big screen television. Like,
you know what? Fuck it. Next time, real unicorn. We're going next
real
level.
Unicorn, real right?
Unicorn. We're going to make it happen. This brought up an interesting interview that I did years ago with Miles Kennedy from Alter Bridge. Because he had this, I mean, he had up to a point, like debilitating stage fright. Like, was obviously an amazing singer, an amazing performer, an amazing guitar player, but literally he told me like I would puke 6, 7, 8 times before he would go onto a stage. He was just that. And then, but the same thing, he repetition and went through it, and obviously he's found some success for himself with not only Alter Bridge but with Miles Kennedy. But that goes to show you, and again with the trajectory of this podcast, get comfortable being uncomfortable, and then you're gonna take those steps, and every day is gonna be a little bit easier, and then you're gonna go, remember when I was afraid to get on stage? Now look at me, you know, riding a real unicorn through the middle of the goddamn Rock on the Range. Is what's gonna happen, people. Put it on the list. It's gonna be amazing.
You know, and I think that being complacent and just like I think the most terrifying thing to me is not growing and not going through those uncomfortable, scary times and like coming out stronger. It's like, I listen to a lot of Tony Robbins. I don't know if you like him, but he gives me strength sometimes when I don't have it myself. And I realized like, oh yeah, I forgot that's the way that you should be thinking. And like the stuff that happens, like you grow through what you go through kind of thing. It's just like how you handle it, and your brain will automatically be like, if you fail at something, it'll automatically be like, if I told myself I was going to fail, then I start thinking that way. And then you want to be right. So you're like, okay, well, I failed. So obviously, you know, I'm not going to do this. And you stop doing it. But if you keep trying that thing and you succeed, then your brain goes, oh, okay, I can do this. And, you know, you fall a couple times on the way up, but you get this point where you succeed. And the more you start doing that, the more you start succeeding, the more your brain goes, okay, like I got this. Like I know it's scary and I know that I'm terrified, but I know that I'm going to come out stronger on the other side and learn something.
Yeah, failure is, nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to lose. Nobody wants to fall. Everybody wants to stay in the comfort zone. But failure teaches us so many important things. You know, obstacles teach us so many important things. If you can go through it and you have a failure, you have a misstep, something happens, and you look at it like you mentioned. If you look at it like in that, well, nope, I failed, I can't do that. That's obviously I don't have the skill set or the talent or the want to do that. But if you analyze it and say, okay, why did I fail? Why did I not succeed at what I was attempting to do? Well, it's because you didn't, study this aspect of it, or look out for this, or, you need a little more of this. And you're like, well, if I really just took those elements and put them all together and tried it again and succeeded, well, then I've just accomplished, I've overcome that failure. I've taken what I've learned from it and grown. Now that's just part of your arsenal. Now I know not to do that, or know I need to do more of this. And that's, for successful people or people who are really driven. And I find that in Tony Robbins is a fantastic example. I mean, I get up, my part of my morning routine is to get up and immediately go to YouTube, and I don't watch it, but I turn on, type in motivation. Actually, at this point, like, shit just pops up, like, here, you should watch this. I'm like, I should watch Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson work out. This is getting me jacked up. Oh my God. Wow. And then I start watching, I'm like, man, that dude's amazing.
He is so cool. He's another one that I gotta meet. I technically threw a hug through Jack Black. I'm sure he's hugged Dwayne Johnson, and I've hugged Dwayne through Jack at one point.
It's like, instead of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, it's now 2 degrees of Jack Black.
Yeah.
We've just developed a new thing. Like, I am technically, and that would put me, let's see, I've hugged you, you've hugged Jack Black has probably hugged The Rock. I'm like 3 people away. It basically happened in real life.
One day you'll see.
I have no doubt. I had to record his return to SmackDown last night because he was back doing his thing. But there's so many ways to find, even if it's just something, if it's not something that you're related to. Obviously, if you're not into entrepreneurship or business, you can still listen to a guy like Gary Vaynerchuk and be like, that dude just gets me jacked up because he's got so much energy. Or Tony Robbins, if you're not into any of the things that he's talking about, just the way that he talks about overcoming. And you've talked in this podcast about the challenges that you've had to overcome with the vocal cords, with, guitar players' girlfriends, and, just having to put all these elements back in to keep your dream going, to keep your path in the right direction. It's finding that inspiration that we can do. Oh, hi, my 9-year-old just stopped in.
Hi,
buddy. He loves to come down when I'm doing stuff. Come here and say hi to Mixi. He's got pajamas on, so don't,
Me too.
Hi.
Hi. What are those PJs?
They're Minecraft.
Oh, of course, Minecraft. I'm not very good at that game. All I know is I keep punching trees and it doesn't build anything.
But yeah, so when you have a movement, and I think 2019, big year for Stitched Apart, big year for you. A lot of writing going on, new album done. But what is, what's the rest of 2019? Obviously, you have the Steel Panther tour. I can't wait for your mother to see it. I want you to text me her personal review of the whole thing. And
maybe I'll get her up on stage when they get all the ladies on stage. You know what I'm saying?
I've been a part of that, but
she doesn't know what happens. I'm not going to do that to her. She wouldn't do it anyway. But we've got another song coming out on the 11th. We're releasing songs kind of like almost every month. In November, however, we are going to start the pre-orders for the album.
Awesome.
Black Friday, Darkness pre-orders will start, and then next year is going to be probably the biggest year. So keep an eye out.
You're on Instagram, you're on the Twitter, you're on the website, you're on Facebook.
Yeah, if you just go to stitcheduphart.org, you'll find all the Twitter, which is Stitched Apart, the Instacart, Facebook, Stitched Apart Rock, I believe. But yeah. stitcheduphart.org, and the YouTube, all that good stuff.
And I want people to get a chance to know Mixi, and that it's not like, I don't know if you sleep, but the music, learning guitar, vocal work, planning a tour, and like saving every single animal that walks on planet Earth. How can people find out more about the causes that you're behind? Because I know you do so many amazing things. You're a painter, you're a model, you're again, humanitarian. I mean, the business card is extremely long for you. You do a lot of stuff.
Honestly, like when we're in between tours, I need something happy to focus on and what makes me happy is animals, kittens. Specifically, kittenrescue.org is the organization I foster the bottle baby kittens from.
Yep.
And they're always accepting donations. They save the babies that can't feed themselves and don't have parents that need to be like bottle fed. Wow. So I usually take some in and then I help donate and stuff like that. I have my clothing company, Filthy Animal Clothing Company.com, that donates a percentage of proceeds to the kitten rescue as well. And then I got pulled into the equestrian world in Malibu after the fires. Yeah. This rescue I found called Big Heart Ranch out in Malibu rescues horses, donkeys, cows, or not cows, but pigs, goats, chickens, ducks. I don't know. They have like a lot of animals. They have it all.
Platypus. No platypus. Yeah. Maybe a platypus.
Roosters, rabbits, jeez, like everything. Wow. I found a 28-year-old horse that I fell in love with that they just got like a couple months before the fire, and then they had to move the whole 60-something animals to Glendale when the fire in Malibu happened, and then move them all back. So the horse was a little scared, and they had rescued her. She was malnourished, and she's 28. They only lived to like 30-something, and she's got melanoma, and she's on her last years, but we connected, and now I just go up there and help them feed and brush and stuff like that. So, but right now I'm surprised I haven't been attacked by kittens because I have 2 foster kittens right now that are almost available for adoption, but you can go to kittenrescue.org if you are interested.
They make guest appearances behind you every once in a while. They'll just be like a head will pop up and then it'll move down, and the head will pop back up. They're making their own cameos there. And I think I also have a monster towel on my stove too. So
the monster towels, we got so many of those that like it's the best towels. I even had one in my shower for a while.
Yeah, I mean I'm loud and proud right behind me. Yeah, I'm living the dream.
Monster, and let's just talk about them really quick because they have seriously. They've been sponsoring us for a few years now, and if it wasn't for them, we would not be able to be comfortable on tour. We wouldn't be able to afford an RV. They're making a backdrop, our new backdrop that we're going to have for this next run, and some a monster tent we're going to get so that if it's raining or something, we can put our gear underneath it when we're loading and all that, and for festivals, your merch and stuff like that. And they've just been amazing. I actually ran into Tim when I went to go see Papa Roach, Bad Wolves Asking Alexandria recently, and he just said that they don't really have too many rock bands that they back anymore. They just signed Steel Panther actually, but we're one of the few, and he really believes in us. And I was like, really? Really?
I love you.
Yeah, I mean, like,
they're so great.
Monster keeps our driver going on the road, and it's they've been nothing but great.
Yeah, we had and hashtag Monster Podcast, by the way, if anybody's listening, we're trending that on the social medias. Amazing company to work for. They do it right. Yeah,
they do a lot of charity, and a lot of people don't actually see what they do aside from just sponsor the motocross and all that, and have really cute girls in like mini skirts and stuff. But
they do. I never even noticed. I never even noticed that once.
I don't know what you're talking about. What girls? But yeah, they do a lot for the community, and they're just a really great company.
I want to end with this, and I think it ties together with our last conversation, or our last sentence. The movement, and it wasn't a movement because there's always been really powerful female artists in rock and roll. There's always been icons. But in the last 10 years, this movement has happened. And not just like, oh, here's the band with the pretty girl and then go out because that's what we're going to sell it on. But like girls that go out and just kick the fuck out of a show. I mean, just own it and own who they are, and are selling that band on their own merit and their own talents. But there is so much girl power out in rock and roll right now. It was so awesome to see Lizzy, you, Ash, there's a laundry list of artists that are out there just killing it. And there was a picture that I think you posted I'm not sure if it was from that recent event, but it was you. I know Lizzy was in there. Was Juliette Lewis in that one too? Just all this like raw chick talent. It was just that. Does it feel like empowering to be a part of that community and part of that crew of badasses?
It's weird because when I think that it's going to be one of those things we look back at like 10, 20 years from now and realize how big of a movement it is, because we don't really know I'm getting chills just talking about it, because I really do think this is one of those things that you're going to remember about this time. Like, it's just one of those things. And I think that there's a lot of women that have shown me that they've been able to do it. Like when we did the Hailstorm in This Moment run, I watched them and I saw like this really like this hope that like, yeah, we can do this. Like, I know that it's possible if you just stick it out and if you just work through it, and like you can make it there. You just can't give up ever, and you have to work your butt off for it. And I think that it's something that's bigger than what we see right now. Like, Nirvana didn't know what was going to happen with Nirvana. No. Like the whole entire 80s hair metal scene didn't know that was going to be a thing. Like, it was just like grunge didn't know it was going to be a thing. This is like a different thing for rock, I think, that we won't realize is as big as it is until later. Yeah. And I believe.
I think you're 100% accurate, because what it's doing and what it's done, I think you're kind of a product of that. Is you have the artists that you've looked up to, and 5, 10, 15, you kind of go back, and there were some, but there were so fewer, and it seemed like a male especially rock and roll, male dominated, real, balls out kind of dirty rock and roll. And then it evolved, and then I think grunge was kind of part of that evolution of things, just because it made it less like, no, it's 80s hair metal, so it's all glam and strippers and blow and Motley Crue videos, into now where you have this. Maria, how did I forget to throw Maria Brink in there?
Yeah.
But now you have all of these incredibly talented female artists, not just front women. Drummers. Look at like Jen Ledger, and you look at anybody else. The other female drummers that are out there. Pop Evil, can't think of her name. Why is it? Yes. But now you have these fans that are looking up at the stage, or they're watching a video on YouTube or following you on Instagram, and they no longer feel like they're like, well, I can do it. That's another one. I think even Tony Robbins has said that if it's been done before, it can be done. And to see that it's so massive, and it's part of this power movement, a younger generation of artists and talent and if they have the right talent and the right drive to do it, don't need to be pushed off into pop or be pushed off into country or be pushed off into a genre where it's like, oh, well, here you go, pop you up on here and you sing this song, here's your lyrics. But you can go and do your passion and do rock and roll, because you have all of these women that are out there just owning it on stage. You have a guest too. There. Hello, white kid. Well, it is nice to meet you. I think I was in the back, but yeah, there's
more of a dog than a cat.
Yeah.
No, I 100%. Okay, so this is something that's going to kind of be cool because it comes full circle. No Doubt was a big inspiration when I was like younger, and I didn't realize how much it might have had an impact on me. I remember seeing No Doubt perform at the House of Blues in Orlando, where I grew up, with my dad. He got me tickets for my birthday again. And I remember watching her and seeing how energetic she was on stage, and she would just run from one side of the stage to the next, and she was just so much energy. I think I might have gotten something from that,
Right.
And I get to play, and we haven't announced the show yet, but it'll be my first time ever playing that same stage in Orlando at House of Blues. And I just think it's really cool, because that was a huge inspiring moment for me, where you see a woman running up there, owning it, kicked ass. I can say that.
Okay.
And it was just like, I think Gwen Stefani was a big part, and Avril Lavigne was a huge part for me, and I I think you had like Lisa Loeb and Alanis Morissette and stuff in the 90s. And then Lita Ford, which I got to that picture that you saw was from the AP Awards, and we all sang, me, the Butcher Babies, Ash, Lizzy, Emma, the bass player for Sick Puppies, and there was another girl too, but we all got up there with Lita Ford and sang Cherry Bomb, and it was really cool.
Awesome.
And I went up, it was funny because I was telling, I know we're going over time, but
there's no time. It's not radio.
Okay.
We have no commercial break to get to. We are good.
I was like bragging to Ford to this guy I just met, and I was like, yeah, it's gonna be so cool. Like I told my dad earlier, like I'm gonna go and sing Cherry Bomb and with Lita Ford, and he's like, you made it. And the guy I was talking to was Lita's bass player. And I was like, oh no, don't tell her I said that, or tell her, I don't care, whatever.
No, whatever, it's fine.
And then like who cares? But so then afterwards I told Lita, I'm like, we're sitting there, all of us girls together before the picture is taken. I'm like, Lita, you did this. Yep. Like, this is a lot of your fault. Like, it's just, man, but she started a huge part of this, and it just slowly, and who knows, like, what'll happen 10, 20 years from now, and the girls that are playing in their garage, are doing another whole movement. I don't know. That's just the feminist part of me.
No, I think it's legit, because I think when you think of like garage band, you think like stoners in a garage somewhere. They're all dudes, long hair. That's the image that kind of comes up. And maybe I watched a little too much Dazed and Confused. I'm not sure, but now that the example has been set. It's front and center. They're headlining arenas. They are putting their own tours. You guys put your own tours together, and it's just like it's there. It's out, and young fans are seeing it. And young artists are seeing it, and saying, "Oh yeah, we can do this.
Yeah,
we can go out and kick its ass."
So.
Yeah,
you can do anything you ever dreamed, guys.
You see. From her father's mouth now to hers to the entire podcast world, you can be anything you want to be.
Yeah.
Mixi, thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate you hanging out with me for a little while on a Saturday.
No, it's all good. Your hair looks great, and we'll keep that that side story to ourselves. But it's all good. It's great to catch up. Best of luck on the Steel Panther tour and the rest of the year and the new record. And if you're in the neck of the woods,
let me know. I'm always down to do whatever. Maybe organize it with Decker next time, and know that like we leave the alcoholic in charge of everybody, but he usually handles like the tour managing. So if we're coming anywhere near you, which I think we're going to Madison, like let us know. We're totally down to say hi, even if just grab some Monster Energy and some lunch or something,
No wine. Don't grab any wine.
Not for our drummer.
Yeah, no mas. No, definitely will. And thank you so much. And we'll put all the links to your social medias in the show notes for this episode. And again, it's available everywhere podcasts are heard. So hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Inspiring. Thank you for the stories. Thank you for opening up. I know, telling a story for the first time can be. See this. It's cool. Is this like everybody else just hearing the audio? I get to see the lip biting. Like I'm sorry, but no,
I know it has to be said. It's something that needs to be said.
But it's such a great story of overcoming when you're a singer, a gigantic obstacle, and something that I'm sure puts you in a very fearful position of, oh no, this could, if this turns out in one way, where's my life go? But you overcame it. You're killing it. Picking up the guitar. Damn. Kicking its ass, Mix. You're just kicking its ass, and I love it. And thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you.
Hearts. Awesome. Can't say thanks enough to Mixi from Stitched Up Heart for joining me on the podcast. Don't forget, stitchedupheart.org is their website, and you can link up with them on all of their socials. Speaking of socials, follow me on the socials. Just search Welcome to Cooperville. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and the Instagram. Find out about upcoming guests, little motivational bonuses, and so much more. It is the Welcome to Cooperville podcast. Wherever you listen, be sure to subscribe so you get updates about new episodes coming your way as they drop.